Yet the tension in the air felt heavier than before. Lieutenant Valera stood frozen. "Commander." His steps were calm, steady, not the steps of a man who had just survived poison. He folded his hands behind his back and looked into space. "You really believed it would work?" The guards looked at each other. They were confused, afraid, unsure what to do next. Commander Ward turned around. "There is poison in the meal," he said clearly to the room. "She is not lying." Shock moved across the officers' faces, but one medic spoke carefully. "Your body shows no reaction." Commander Ward stepped closer to the table. He picked up the spoon again and examined it under the light. "When humans joined the Galactic Alliance," he began, "we knew some species would fear us. We knew not everyone would trust us." His eyes met Valera's again. "So we studied alien toxins." The room grew even quieter. "Humans have something many species do not," he continued. "Extreme biological adaptability. Our immune systems evolve fast. Very fast." She whispered. He nodded slightly. "Not changed, strengthened. Small doses of different alien toxins." The guards stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. "Why?" one officer asked. Commander Ward stopped walking. "Because trust is fragile," he answered. "And fear makes people desperate." She said, "Yes." He looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "Because I wanted to see something." Her chest tightened. "See what?" "Whether you would let me die?" The words were simple, but they felt heavier than any weapon. The room seemed to disappear around her. He had known from the beginning. When she walked into the dining hall, when her hands shook slightly, when she avoided his eyes, he knew. "And you still ate?" she asked. Quietly. "I trusted one thing," he replied. "What?" "That you are not evil," she admitted softly. He gave a small nod. "I know." The honesty in his voice was not angry. It was calm acceptance. "You lost your brother near our border," he said. Her eyes widened. "How do you know that?" "We investigated every officer aboard this ship before arrival. Not to control you, to understand you." That answer surprised even the guards. "You studied us?" one officer asked. "Yes," the human replied. "Because if we want peace, we must understand fear." Valera felt her anger slowly fade into confusion. "You could have exposed me immediately," she said. "You could have stopped me." "Yes. Then why didn't you?" Commander Ward looked back at the untouched plate of food. "Because sometimes," he said carefully, "people need to face their own choice." His words were not cruel. They were firm. He had allowed her to decide, allowed her to see herself. Clearly, the spoon still rested on the plate. The poison was still there. But now it felt small, powerless. Val Ira lowered her head. "I almost killed you." "No," he corrected gently. "You almost became someone you are not." The guards slowly lowered their weapons. The tension in the room began to shift. But before anyone could speak again, a loud vibration moved through the ship. The floor shook. The lights flickered. An alarm suddenly screamed through the hall. "Emergency alert! External threat detected." The calm moment shattered instantly. An officer rushed in from the corridor. "Commander, unknown fleet approaching. Weapons active. Sharp. Focused." "How many ships?" Valera felt a cold realization spread through her. Body. 7 ships. That number sounded familiar. This was not a random attack. This was connected. Commander Ward turned toward her slowly. "Lieutenant," he said. She looked up. "We don't have time for guilt." Distant lights appeared in the darkness of space. Enemy ships closing fast, and for the first time,
Silence filled the sealed dining hall. No one moved. The medical scanners were turned off. The alarms had stopped. Yet the tension in the air felt heavier than before. Lieutenant Valera stood frozen. "Commander." Elias Ward walked slowly toward the large window that showed endless stars. His steps were calm, steady. Not the steps of a man who had just survived poison. He folded his hands behind his back and looked into space. "You really believed it would work," he said quietly. Valera swallowed. "It should have." The guards looked at each other. They were confused, afraid, unsure what to do next. Commander Ward turned around. "There is poison in the meal," he said clearly to the room. "She is not lying." Shock moved across the officers' faces, but one medic spoke carefully. "Your body shows no reaction." The human gave a small nod. "That's because we prepared for this." Valera's heart pounded again. Prepared? What did that mean? Commander Ward stepped closer to the table. He picked up the spoon again and examined it under the light. "When humans joined the Galactic Alliance," he began, "we knew some species would fear us. We knew not everyone would trust us." His eyes met Valera's again. "So we studied alien toxins." The room grew even quieter. "Humans have something many species do not," he continued. "Extreme biological adaptability. Our immune systems evolve fast. Very fast." Valera felt cold. "You changed your body?" She whispered. He nodded slightly. "Not changed, strengthened." He walked slowly around the table as he spoke, his voice calm and controlled. "Before coming aboard this ship, I went through controlled exposure training. Small doses of different alien toxins. Over time, my body learned to fight them." The guards stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. "Why?" One officer asked. Commander Ward stopped walking. "Because trust is fragile," he answered. "And fear makes people desperate." Valera felt the truth of those words hit her deeply. He had expected this, not from her personally, but from someone. He had prepared for betrayal before it even happened. "You knew someone would try." She said, "Yes." Her voice trembled slightly. "Then why eat the food?" He looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "Because I wanted to see something." Her chest tightened. "See what?" "Whether you would let me die." The words were simple, but they felt heavier than any weapon. The room seemed to disappear around her. He had known from the beginning. When she walked into the dining hall, when her hands shook slightly, when she avoided his eyes, he knew. "And you still ate?" she asked. Quietly, "I trusted one thing," he replied. "What?" "That you are not evil." The sentence broke something inside her. She felt exposed, seen, understood in a way she did not expect. "I hated you," she admitted softly. He gave a small nod. "I know." The honesty in his voice was not angry. It was calm acceptance. "You lost your brother near our border," he said. Her eyes widened. "How do you know that?" "We investigated every officer aboard this ship before arrival. Not to control you, to understand you." That answer surprised even the guards. "You studied us?" one officer asked. "Yes," the human replied. "Because if we want peace, we must understand fear." Valera felt her anger slowly fade into confusion. "You could have exposed me immediately," she said. "You could have stopped me." "Yes. Then why didn't you?" Commander Ward looked back at the untouched plate of food. "Because sometimes," he said carefully, "people need to face their own choice." His words were not cruel, they were firm. He had allowed her to decide, allowed her to see herself clearly. The spoon still rested on the plate. The poison was still there, but now it felt small. Powerless. V.A.E. Leo. Ira lowered her head. "I almost killed you." "No," he corrected gently. "You almost became someone you are not." The guards slowly lowered their weapons. The tension in the room began to shift. But before anyone could speak again, a loud vibration moved through the ship. The floor shook. The lights flickered. An alarm suddenly screamed through the hall. Emergency alert. External threat detected. The calm moment shattered instantly. An officer rushed in from the corridor. "Commander, unknown fleet approaching. Weapons active." The room changed from emotional silence to sudden urgency. Commander Ward's expression shifted, still calm, but now sharp, focused. "How many ships?" he asked. "5, no, 7 vessels." Valera felt a cold realization spread through her body. 7 ships. That number sounded familiar. Protectors of Stability. The secret group who gave her the poison. Her breathing stopped for a second. This was not a random attack. This was connected. Commander Ward turned toward her slowly. "Lieutenant," he said. She looked up. "We don't have time for guilt." Outside the window, distant lights appeared in the darkness of space. Enemy ships, closing fast. And for the first time, Valera understood something terrifying. The poison was never the real danger. It was only the beginning. The warship trembled again as another shockwave hit its shields. Red warning lights flashed across the dining hall walls. The peaceful blue glow from earlier was gone. Now everything felt urgent, dangerous. Outside the window, 7 dark ships moved into attack position. Their shapes were sharp and aggressive. Not Alliance design. Valera felt her stomach turn. She recognized them. The symbol on the lead vessel was clear, a broken circle surrounded by fire. The mark of the Protectors of Stability, her secret allies, or at least that is what she once believed. "They are targeting our engines," an officer shouted from the doorway. Shield strength dropping to 80%. Commander Elias Ward stepped forward immediately. His voice was calm but firm. "Move to the command deck. All officers to battle stations." The guards rushed out. The medics followed. Within seconds, the dining hall was almost empty. Almost. Valera remained standing. Frozen. Commander Ward stopped near the doorway and looked back at her. "You knew this might happen," he said quietly. It was not an accusation. It was a statement. Her throat felt dry. "I thought..." She struggled to speak. "I thought they only wanted to remove you." Quietly. Another explosion shook the ship. The lights flickered again. "They were never going to stop with me," he replied. The truth was clear now. The poison was a distraction. If she succeeded, the human commander would die. The Alliance would blame internal conflict. Trust between species would break. And in the chaos, the Protectors would attack. If she failed, they would attack anyway. Either way, war would begin. She had been used. "They lied to me," she whispered. "Yes," he said. No anger, no judgment. Just truth. On the main screen at the far wall, the enemy fleet opened fire again. Blue energy beams struck the Alliance shields. The ship groaned under pressure, shield strength at 65%. Commander Ward walked back toward her. "Lieutenant," he said, his eyes sharp now. "I need information." She looked up. "What do you know about their formation?" For a moment, she hesitated. These were her former allies. But then she remembered the child he saved, the calm way he forgave her, the trust he gave her. Even after betrayal, they used triangular attack patterns, she said quickly. "The lead. Ship controls coordination. If you disable it, the others lose sync." He nodded once. "Good." He tapped his communicator. "Bridge, this is Ward. Target the lead vessel. Focus fire on their command core." "Yes, Commander." Another blast hit the shields. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Valera felt the weight of her earlier decision pressing against her chest. If she had succeeded with the poison, this ship would have no human commander right now. No clear strategy. No calm leadership. The Alliance crew might already be panicking. The realization hurt. You can still help, he said quietly beside her. She looked at him. Why do you still trust me? He answered without delay. Because you chose to stop. That simple sentence felt stronger than any weapon outside. More explosions echoed through the ship. Shields at 50%. Commander Ward started walking toward the exit. She followed him this time without hesitation. As they moved through the corridor, emergency teams rushed past them. Smoke drifted from damaged panels. The ship felt alive with chaos. On the command deck, large screens showed the battlefield clearly. 7 enemy ships surrounding them. Energy beams crossing through space. Like deadly lightning, lead vessel charging. A HFY cannon. An officer warned. We need a distraction, Commander Ward said quickly. Valera stepped forward. I know their secondary weakness. He looked at her. Their communication arrays exposed during heavy charge mode. If we hit it at that moment, their fleet will lose coordination. The officers turned toward her. Can you predict when that moment comes? Ward asked. She nodded slowly. Yes. He did not question her further. Then guide us. She moved to the tactical station. Her hands were steady now, not shaking. Focused. Outside. The lead enemy ship began glowing brighter. Energy gathered at its front cannon. Now. She shouted. The Alliance warship fired. A focused beam struck the enemy's communication array exactly as it activated. A bright explosion filled space. The lead ship lost power. The other 6 vessels suddenly broke formation. Their movements became chaotic. Direct hit. An officer yelled. The human commander allowed himself a small breath. Continue pressure. Disable the rest. Without coordination, the enemy ships were weaker. One by one, they retreated under Alliance counterattack. Within minutes, the battlefield changed. The 7 ships that arrived with confidence were now fleeing into deep space. Silence slowly returned. Only small debris floated outside the window. The crisis had passed. For now, the crew released quiet sighs of relief. Valera stepped back from the console. Her heart was still racing, but not from fear. From claret. The command deck slowly returned to normal. Red warning lights stopped flashing. The loud alarms faded into silence. Officers moved calmly between stations, checking damage reports and system repairs. Outside the large front window, the enemy ships were gone. Only small pieces of metal floated in the dark space. Lieutenant Valera stood near the tactical console, staring at the stars. The battle was over. But inside her, another battle had just begun. She almost caused this. If she had succeeded with the poison, Commander Elias Ward would not be standing here right now. The crew would have panicked. The protectors of stability would have attacked a leaderless ship. Many would have died. Her hands felt cold. Damage report, Commander Ward said calmly from the center of the deck. Minor hull damage. Shields recharging. No casualties, an officer replied. No casualties. The words hit her deeply. Because tonight, there could have been many. The commander dismissed the crew to continue repairs. Slowly, the room emptied. Only a few technicians remained. Valera finally gathered the courage to step forward. Commander, she said quietly. He turned toward her. His expression was neutral. Not angry, not soft, just steady. I need to speak with you. Alone. He studied her face for a moment, then nodded. They moved to a small observation room beside the deck. The door slid shut behind them. The noise of the crew faded away. Silence filled the space. For a long moment, she could not speak. The weight of everything pressed against her chest. Finally, she forced the words out. I betrayed you. He did not interrupt. I planned to kill you, she continued. I worked with extremists. I believed lies. I let my anger control me. Her voice shook slightly. But she did not look away. I almost started a war. Commander Ward walked slowly toward the large glass wall, the stars reflected in his eyes. Yes, he said quietly. There was no denial, no comfort, just truth. She swallowed. I am ready to accept punishment. That sentence cost her more than she expected. In her culture, betrayal of a commanding officer during wartime meant severe consequences. Exile, imprisonment, sometimes worse. She waited for his decision. Instead, he asked a question. Why did you really stop me from eating? She blinked, surprised. You know why. I want to hear you say it. Her chest tightened again. She looked down at her hands. Because you are not the monster I believed, she said softly. He remained silent. I saw you save that child in the lower deck. You risked your life. No hesitation. No reward. Her voice grew steadier. That is not what a conqueror does. She looked up at him. And when I saw you about to eat the poisoned food, I realized something. Killing you would not bring my brother back. It would only create more pain. The words felt heavy but honest. My anger blinded me, she added. Commander Ward turned from the window and faced her fully. Anger after loss is natural, he said. Humans understand that very well. She frowned slightly. You do? He gave a small nod. My people have fought many wars, lost many lives. If we allowed anger to guide every decision, we would destroy ourselves. His voice was calm but carried deep experience. We survive. Not because we are the strongest, he continued. We survive because we learn. She listened carefully. You learned tonight, he said. She felt a small sting behind her eyes. I learned that I was wrong. That is not weakness, he replied. That is growth. Silence filled the room again, but this time it was different. Not heavy, not tense. She straightened her posture. I will report my actions to the High Council. Yes, he sighed. You will. Her heart sank slightly. But I will also report something else, he added. She looked at him. I will report that when the moment mattered most, you chose to save a life instead of take one. Her breathing slowed. You still trust me? She asked quietly. I trust your choice, he answered. That sentence stayed in the air between them. Trust was not about past mistakes. It was about present decisions. She felt something shift inside her. Not fear, not guilt, but responsibility. What happens now? She asked. He stepped closer to the door. Now we rebuild trust. Before he could open it, the ship suddenly shook again, but this time not from enemy fire. A deep system alert echoed through the corridors. Critical. Internal breach detected. Engineering deck. Valera's eyes widened. That is not battle damage, she said quickly. Commander Ward's expression sharpened. No, he agreed. It isn't. The screen beside the door flickered, showing internal security footage. Smoke filled the engineering section. Explosions sparked from inside the ship. Valera felt cold fear rise again. The protectors had not just attacked from outside. They had someone inside. And this time, it was not her. Commander Ward looked at her calmly. It seems, he said, the real test is not over. The door slid open. Alarms began screaming once more. And together, they stepped back into the chaos. The corridor outside the observation room was filled with smoke. Red emergency lights flashed again. Crew members ran toward the engineering deck. The calm after the battle had lasted only a few minutes. Now the real danger was inside. Report! Commander Elias Ward said firmly into his communicator as he moved quickly down the hallway. Multiple explosions in engineering, a voice replied through static. Main reactor stable, but secondary power grid failing. Possible sabotage. Sabotage. The word felt sharp. Valera ran beside him. Her mind moved fast. The protectors of stability attacked from outside to distract them. But the real damage was planned inside. "How many crew members in engineering?" she asked. 42, came the reply. Her heart tightened. If the secondary grid failed completely, the ship would lose internal life support in some sections. Smoke grew thicker as they approached the engineering level. Sparks fell from damaged ceiling panels. Emergency doors were closing automatically to stop the fire from spreading. 2 security officers were waiting near the entrance. "Commander, we have one suspect," one of them said. Maintenance Officer Drellin. He disappeared just before the first explosion. Valera felt shock again. Drellin was quiet, friendly, loyal, or so she thought. "Any visual contact?" Ward asked. "Last seen near the coolant control system," Ward nodded once. "Seal all escape routes. No one leaves this level." "Yes, Commander." The doors opened, and heat rushed toward them. Engineering was chaos. Small fires burned along the walls. Technicians worked desperately to control sparks from damaged panels. The air smelled of metal and smoke. "Commander!" A chief engineer shouted. "Coolant pressure rising. If it reaches maximum, the reactor will shut down." "How long?" Ward asked. 10 minutes, maybe less." Valera scanned the room carefully. Then she saw movement near the back control panel. A shadow, running, there. She pointed. Without hesitation, Commander Ward moved forward. 2 security officers followed. They found Drellin near the coolant terminal. His hands were shaking as he typed commands into the system. "Step away from the console," Ward ordered calmly. Drellin turned slowly. His eyes were wild. "You don't understand," he shouted. "Humans will destroy us all." Valera felt pain hearing those words. She once believed the same thing. "You planted the charges?" she asked. "Yes," Drellin said. "This ship must fall before humans take control of the Alliance." The fear in his voice was real, the same fear she once carried. Commander Ward did not raise his weapon. Instead, he stepped closer. "If this ship falls," he said calmly, 42 crew members die. Your own people. They are sacrifices for survival." Drellin yelled. "No," Ward replied firmly. "They are victims of fear." The coolant pressure warning alarm grew. Louder. "Commander, pressure at 80%. The engineer shouted. Valera moved toward the secondary control station. "I can override his commands," she said, "but I need 60 seconds. "You have them," Ward replied. Drellin suddenly reached toward his belt. A small detonator. Security officers reacted instantly, tackling him to the ground. The detonator slid across the floor. Ward quickly grabbed it before it could activate. "Pressure at 90%, the engineer warned. Sweat formed on Valera's forehead as her fingers moved over the console. Simple commands, basic system reset. She forced herself to stay calm. Fear would only cause mistakes. Behind her, Drellin struggled against the guards. "You are blind," he shouted at her. "They will betray us." Valera did not look back. "No," she said quietly. "I was blind." 50 seconds, 40. The system resisted her override. Drellin had locked several manual controls. She remembered something from earlier training sessions with Ward. Humans always had backup systems. "Commander," she called. "Is there a manual bypass?" "Yes," he answered immediately. Panel 3 lower access. She dropped to her knees, pulling open the lower panel. Inside were physical switches, old design, rarely used. She flipped the emergency coolant release. A loud hiss filled the room as excess pressure escaped through safety vents. The warning alarm changed tone. "Pressure stabilizing," the engineer shouted. The fires slowly began to die down as systems regained control. Valera leaned back against the wall, breathing heavily. It was over. Again, security officers lifted Drellin to his feet. His eyes were filled with anger and fear. "You are helping them take over," he said weakly. Valera looked at him steadily. "No," she replied. "I am helping us survive." Commander Ward stepped beside her. "Fear makes good people do terrible things," he said quietly. Drellin stopped struggling. For a moment, he looked confused. 3 days later, the warship moved slowly through calm space. The damage from the attack was repaired. The fires and engineering were gone. The air inside the ship felt normal again. But something had changed, not in the metal walls, not in the control panels, in the people. Lieutenant Valera stood on the command deck, looking at the stars through the large front window. They looked peaceful, quiet, endless. Behind her, officers from different species worked side by side. Human, Varelian, Korth, all focused, all united. Commander Elias Ward entered the deck quietly. "The High Council has sent their response," he said. Valera turned to face him. Her heart felt steady now, not nervous like before. "And?" she asked. "They know everything," he replied. "The poison, the attack, the sabotage." She held his gaze. "What is their decision?" Ward paused for a moment. "They have ordered a joint investigation into the protectors of stability across the Alliance." That was bigger than she expected. "They believe this was not an isolated act," he continued. "They believe fear is spreading." Valera nodded slowly. "Fear spreads faster than truth. And me?" she asked quietly. Ward stepped closer. "You will remain second officer on this ship." Her eyes widened slightly. "They trust me." "They trust the report," he said. "And the report says you stopped the poison. You helped defeat the attackers. You saved engineering." She felt something warm in her chest, relief, not because she escaped punishment, but because she earned something back, trust, a communication. Alert interrupted them. "Commander, incoming transmission from the High Council," an officer announced. The main screen activated. Several council members appeared. Leaders from different species, their faces serious. "Commander Ward," the council leader began, "your actions during the recent attack have strengthened Alliance unity." Ward gave a respectful nod. "We are also aware of internal fear regarding humanity's rapid growth," the leader continued. "We request that you address the Alliance." The deck became quiet. Valera looked at Ward. He stepped forward calmly. "Fear is natural," he began. His voice was steady, clear. "Humans understand fear very well. We have lived with it for most of our history." The council members listened carefully. "We are strong," he continued. "Yes, we adapt. Yes, but strength without trust leads to destruction. We did not join the Alliance to control it. We joined to protect it." Valera felt those words deeply. "Some believe humans are dangerous," Ward said. "They are correct." The council members shifted slightly at that. "We are dangerous," he repeated calmly. "To those who threaten peace, to those who spread fear, to those who attack the innocent." His voice did not rise. It did not need to. "But to our allies," he continued, "we are not a threat. We are a shield." The command deck remained silent. Outside the window, light from a distant star reflected across the glass. "We do not want to rule," Ward finished. "We want to stand beside you." The transmission ended. For a moment, no one spoke. Then one of the alien officers near the back gave a small nod. Others followed, not loud applause, not celebration, just quiet understanding. Valera stepped forward slowly. "When I first met humans," she said softly, "I saw only power." She turned toward the crew. "Now I see responsibility." The officers listened. "I believed fear would protect us," she continued. "But fear almost destroyed us." She looked at Ward briefly. Trust saved the ship. The room felt different now, stronger. Later that evening, Valera returned alone to the dining hall, the same room where everything began. The long silver table stood quiet under soft blue light. She walked to the spot where the poisoned meal once sat. The memory was clear in her mind, the shaking hands, the rising spoon, the moment she screamed. On the table, sealed inside a small transparent container, was the spoon from that night. Evidence for the investigation. She looked at it carefully. A simple object, but it represented a choice. She reached out and touched the container gently, not with shame, but with understanding. A door opened behind her. Commander Ward entered. Looking back, he asked. Yes, she answered honestly. He stood beside her. We cannot erase what happened, she said, but we can decide what it means. He gave a small nod. What does it mean to you? He asked. She looked at the stars outside the window. It means humans are not the enemy, she said. Fear is. Ward allowed a slight smile. That is a lesson many civilizations learn too late. Silence settled peacefully between them. No tension, no suspicion, just quiet respect. Far away, in deep space, some still feared humanity. Some still plotted in shadows. But on this ship, something powerful had formed, not control, not dominance. Trust. And as the warship continued its journey through the galaxy, one truth became clear. Humans were strong. Humans were adaptable. Humans were dangerous. But when they chose to stand as guardians instead of conquerors, they were unstoppable.